Welcome to the Dad and Cole Football Patrol.
Who are you?
I am Cole.
That's right. Now I'm Dad. What's going on, guys? So, Cole, there's been some breaking news over the weekend, this weekend. Some of it not so good news. So let's start with the bigger story. Dez Bryant gets released outright by the Dallas Cowboys. They say...
After 8 seasons.
Is that how many it was? Wow, I didn't realize it was that long. So they say so long. When you hear this news, what's your immediate reaction?
That he might go to the Jets, the Redskins, the Patriots.
Yeah, so those are some teams we think he could go to. Now, he's saying he wants to stay in the NFC East because he wants to play 2 times against his former team, the Dallas Cowboys. So let's talk about the teams in the NFC East real quick and see if we think any of them could be a match. So let's start with our beloved Philadelphia Eagles. I don't see it, do you?
Nah, but Pap does.
Your grandfather does think that Dez could potentially go there, but I think he might be secretly wishing for that because he's a Redskins fan. But seriously, though, the Eagles seem to be okay at receiver. I think, if anything, they're going to look to draft a guy. I think between Alshon and between picking up Mike Wallace, so they feel okay as far as veterans are concerned.
And Nelson Aguilar.
And right, and I guess you consider Nelson Aguilar a veteran after the season he had last year as well. And there's also some major distraction news going on right now with the Eagles. We're going to touch on that in a moment. However, back to our main point, we don't see him coming to the Eagles, right? New York Giants, do you see the Giants being a fit for Dez?
Kind of.
Yeah, like what do you think?
Well, they have Sterling Shepard, Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, now I think you just hit on the name that's going to make me think they're going to have no interest in Dez at all. They got their hands full with Odell Beckham Jr. right now, trying to work out a long-term contract and make him happy. So they have their own wide receiver diva mess going on right now. I don't think they're looking to get another one in the fold. And I think the most likely shot out of all the NFC East teams would be Washington, right? Mm-hmm. When you think of the Washington wide receivers, do any even jump out at you as far as like a big name?
Just Josh Doxson.
Josh Doxson, right? Who started to come on a little bit last year, so I think there's some promise with him. But other than that, though, I don't know who's catching the ball for Alex Smith. So potentially there could be a need there, but I just don't know if teams feel like bringing on the headache that Dez potentially could pose. I know he always says that he's a passionate guy, but sometimes I feel like passion is another word for being a pain in the butt of Tuski. Sometimes he seems like he can drive quarterbacks and teammates nuts with the way he kind of just goes wild on the sideline sometimes. So I don't know. But let's talk about teams outside the NFC East. Who do you think? You mentioned the Patriots?
The Jets.
Yeah, I know. The Jets are devoid of a lot of talent on the team, so I'm sure they would love to bring a guy in of Dez's talent. But let's talk about this. Does Dez have talent left? He really had a subpar last year when they had Ezekiel suspended and they could have used him stepping up, being a leader, and producing on the field. And I thought he kind of shrunk from the situation once Ezekiel got suspended. Do you think he has a lot left in the tank?
He's in the middle.
Yeah, well, I'm with you. I think he could rebound in the right situation and put together a Pro Bowl type of season, but I think it's situation dependent. I don't know if he's enough to go on to like a floundering team and to go out in the field and kind of just command and take over a game, but I think he could go and be like a strong complimentary guy. Apparently from his Instagram, he was making some hints that the Houston Texans could be a fit right now. And I could see that with DeAndre Hopkins being the main number 1 guy, a young up-and-coming quarterback in Deshaun Watson who can stretch the field.
I think the Colts might be able to take him.
Yeah, I think you bring up another intriguing team right there that doesn't have a ton of wide receiver action going on, but they do have a guy in T.Y. Hilton who could command some attention, so Dez wouldn't have to be like the ultimate number 1 primary guy. So I think the Colts could be an intriguing team. Anyone else?
The Patriots.
Yeah, so the Patriots, to me, that seems like the kind of team where
they just have Julian Edelman. man.
Julian Edelman coming off of injury. They got Amendola departed on free agency. I feel like they're a team that's open to taking on guys who might have been issues with other locker rooms and are kind of outcast type of guys. They feel like they can bring them into their culture, turn them around and get them to produce, and mainly they've been right about that. So I could see Belichick making them play for him. So
But like with the Randy Moss.
Exactly. When Moss was kind of toast in Oakland, people thought his career was over. New England brought him in, and Moss had one of his best years ever. So we'll keep an eye on this news and see what happens over the next few days, if there's any real suitors that come out of the rumor mill here. All right, Cole, so there was some other breaking news overnight last night, or better to say very early this morning. Not good news for Eagles fans. Cornerback Daryl Worley, and if folks aren't too familiar with him, he was picked up from Carolina in a trade. We traded starting wide receiver Torrey Smith, and in return, we got starting cornerback Daryl Worley. What I loved about this move is I thought Torrey Smith underwhelmed a little bit as a free agent wide receiver last year. He had some big plays and some big moments, but I didn't think the consistency was there, especially for the money they were going to be paying him next year. So we were able to trade him and get back a starting cornerback who had a very cap-friendly number as far as being, I think he's still under his rookie contract, so he was due to make a very low number, especially compared to veteran starting cornerbacks out there. But that plan has gone to pieces because he has been released. The Eagles cut ties with him. They were too concerned about the news they heard. Daryl Worley got into, this is alleged. We don't have any dates or... This is alleged. He got in a potential altercation with the Philadelphia police very early this morning. Bad news. Sounds like he might have been making some bad decisions. We don't need to get too caught up into that, but the bottom line is the Eagles had to cut a guy that they were projecting as a starter. So I'll just say to you, Cole, what do you think this means for the Philadelphia Eagles heading into their offseason program?
So first of all, who's going to be the cornerback for him?
Well, I think you're bringing up, to me, the reason that I'm actually not too concerned about this, and I don't think it's a big deal, is they have a lot of depth at cornerback right now. You're talking about Darby, Jalen Mills, Sidney Jones, their second-round draft pick last year, Rasul Douglas. I just rattled off 4 guys that I think could be in the mix for starting at cornerback. Maybe I'm stretching it a little bit with Douglas, but when he was pressed into playing last year, I thought he performed well. But you would have to expect Darby and Jones and Mills to be in contention for 2 starting cornerback spots. I'm not really that worried about losing Worley. Do you think it's a big loss to the defense?
I don't think. Well, I didn't get to see him play that much, so like I hear he's pretty good, but I'll still say like the Eagles have better quarterbacks than just him.
Yeah, well, I'm with you. And admittedly, Cole, like you, I haven't seen a ton of him playing either. I know they pegged him in to be a starter this year. However, at the worst case scenario, if we're back with Darby and Mills playing at the starting spots again, I have concerns about those guys, especially Mills. I think they played over their heads a little bit last year, and I think they got burned on some double moves at the end of the year that are concerning.
Yep.
However,
Jalen
Mills especially. However, I don't think this Worley distraction and him getting released today is going to matter one bit once we're into the dog days of training camp, July and August. I think this story is going to be forgotten about. I don't think it's a distraction at all.
Hey guys, leave a comment to say where you think Dez Bryant's gonna go, and do you think Daryl Worley is a big thing?
Yeah, that's right. So where do we miss some teams that Dez could end up being a part of? And what say you? Do you think it's a big deal Daryl Worley got cut today? We don't necessarily think so. We'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment.
Thanks for watching our video, and please hit subscribe.
Yeah, that's right, guys. We would really appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button. That way, anytime you put out a new video, you'll get notification. We'd be very honored to have you a part of our football community. So that's it, right, Cole?
Yep.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.